Good morning, Alex. Thanks for taking some time to see me. You've got about 5 to
Morning.
10 minutes
Yeah, go
that we
for it.
can.
I'm looking forward to hearing how you went.
Oh, great. So as you know, we've just completed the classes. We did two sessions of an orientation and then a session on how to run the actual community meeting with our learners.
Yep.
And both were very effective, I think. And I've got
Oh,
some
good.
information to share with you on that.
Good.
So you can see over here, I've got on the screen, I've shared with you the actual learner, it's the summary of the feedback and some of the strategies that we got some information back that they appreciated.
Yep.
So of course, most people said they enjoyed being able to do the functions in our orientation meeting. We had a little bit of gamification just to make the boring aspects
Nice.
a little bit more enjoyable and
That's
to sink
always
them
good.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it always works, doesn't it? And most people, of course, enjoyed going in more in depth to find the learning resources that they will be using in the next meetings. So
Okay.
they
Yep.
enjoyed exploring that. So I guess making them feel more confident that there's information there they can use later on. So they're
Mm.
not just having to pull it off the top of their head. We did have some interesting feedback. I thought not so much negative, but maybe they didn't understand the purpose of it. So we have down here that one person wanted less focus on types of learning, the asynchronous and synchronous learning, so less information on that.
Okay.
That was from our learner who had learning issues. So I can understand what they were saying there.
What
And
do you mean? Did you tell them the words, the actual words, or did you just explain the
yes,
types?
we went through the types of learning, what synchronous means and
Yeah.
asynchronous, and
Yep.
fun ways to remember that. You know, the
Okay.
synchronous as like synchronous swimming, and we had some diagrams and that to understand. And we did cover explanations of why we need to understand that. But I don't think the student maybe had the
Okay.
clarity of they need to be able to understand that difference for when they're running the meeting, that they may have to
Okay.
have after class work for the members who turn up, and there's class works and understanding the
Yeah.
difference of why we use those. So they understood the difference of them, but not why it's important. So I think that was one of the first points I thought we definitely need more clarity on why we use those and why
Yeah.
they need to understand
And
it.
look, maybe just leave the technical term out. Like you
Okay.
can do the synchronized swimming thing. We would like to learn all together, and
Okay.
we like to, have learn something before we come. When people do like their CPR certificate, they have to do some learning before they go to the face-to-face course. It's kind of, you can just say, we'll do some learning before we come and learn together. And yeah, sometimes the technical words throw people off, especially if they don't need to assess or teach or things with, like do session plans like we do. But
That's a
as
good
long as
point.
they get the
Yes.
the behavior of
Yes.
this is why it's important to do something outside and why it's important to do stuff together, then as long as they understand that, I think that's all right. Yeah.
Okay, you're right. They're
But
not assessing, they're just running the meeting. So
yeah.
definitely that's an easy thing. We can pull that out and reword that so they have better understanding of it and why they do it. That's great. Um, so I had put in there to put more clarity on it, but I think we'll just take that out and change that a
Well, I
little
mean,
bit.
it's up to you. It's That would be up to you, because it's never bad to give more education.
Hmm.
It might have just thrown them, but if you did the swimming explanation and whatever and just moved on, that's
All right.
just yeah.
Excuse me.
I don't think it's a,
All right.
I don't think, as you said before, I don't think it's a good or a bad thing. It's just someone's observation, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then the other thing was a lot of people wanted more time to actually go through the steps of how to, share my screen, open the
Yeah.
resources. So two people actually suggested perhaps have a a third session of just them running pretend meetings. And I thought
Okay.
that's something to look into if you take that back to our head people and ask them about
Yeah.
whether they would be interested in doing something like that.
Do you think there would be enough time in, if you just change the structure of the orientation session to purely be, I mean, you could send them an email of a slide or something, and you could show them the functions, and then everyone could practice sharing in that orientation, and
We
then you
might
get
be
to
able
the,
to do.
the more nitty-gritty
Yeah.
information. But then again, it might be too much information in the second one. But
Well,
yeah, it's
that was one
it's
of
a
the
good thought.
comments as well. Too much
Yeah.
information and it was
Okay.
just the basics we went through, so we didn't put in any of the other icons or tools or anything that they could
No.
access. This was just the basics, but of course they're coming from a beginner perspective. So
Yeah.
that was
Maybe.
my concern, was someone did say too much information, and I thought if I go and put more in, that's why I thought, well, perhaps we could address doing a third just practice fun session
Yeah. Sounds good.
for on a meeting. But we'll have to get approval for that later, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'll pass it on.
thank you. And this is just, I just wanted to show you something in case you had a, excuse me, had a look at it. So I've got some feedback
Ooh.
done in graphs, and we have a couple of, one issue that came up that didn't fit the feedback was, we have here, one student had strongly disagree on, oh, sorry, that's a strongly agree. Where's our interesting one? We have one here. Here we go.
Oh, that one.
The course content. Yes, so sorry, I'll just, we had strongly agree and agree on skill and responsiveness of instructor. They're consistent. So I was just looking at the consistency of the remarks. And here on course content, we have strongly disagree next to strongly agree, strongly disagree next to agree, and strongly disagree. So as you can see, there's a problem there. Now, when I went to this student, if I just go into the individual, and I believe it was student 2, I think the problem may be mine. So I would like to follow up with this student to see what happened, because if they do have an issue with the
Oh.
content, I want to clarify.
Oh yeah, because
But
you've switched around the strongly agree column,
I
and the
have.
next one it's in a different place. So you've switched it. So they're thinking that they're saying strongly agree without reading it.
I do believe that's the issue,
Oh.
because the feedback that goes with it doesn't match. And I thought,
Yeah.
okay, I can see what's happened here. So that would be my fault. However, I will follow up with this student, just send them an email to make sure that that was the case, and then I'm
Yeah.
not putting my presumptions into it. So
Well,
I'll
we'll
just
have a
follow
look.
that
Scroll
student up.
down and see their comments.
Yeah, it
Well,
was,
they're positive comments, so that's.
they are.
I think you're 100% right on that. I've just not read it.
Yeah, that's it. So what I'll be doing also with this is I'll make some changes to the lesson plans about how we deliver, and working on the timing and a little bit of the content and clarifying some points.
But
I'll
just on
also
the
go,
feedback form, though, are you going to switch those two options
yes.
around so it's easier for them?
Yes, I'll be
Yeah.
redoing the feedback form so that it's a better reflection of with consistency in how the questions are laid out. And yeah, I could see it completely how that would be confusing when you just want to fill it in and return it. So yeah,
Yeah.
that one was definitely my fault.
Sometimes we
But
have to
yeah.
help them help us.
Good point.
Yeah.
No, so that was good though.
Okay.
I wouldn't have realized that unless that had happened. So that was
Yeah.
brought up
Well, it looks
made
like
it
you've
clear
got
what had
really
happened.
good feedback, and you know sort of the direction you need to take, and you've got some good suggestions. So I'll take that up. It is quite a meaty subject, especially for people who haven't presented before or don't feel confident. So I think you've got some valid ideas about having a third course for people who want to have a practice, to see you do it and then to practice themselves. I think that would be really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be good with a couple of the students in particular who they seem more confident, but yeah, definitely they look like they mentioned that they would appreciate that time. Thanks so much, Alex. I really appreciate your
That's
input here.
okay.
This has really helped me clear up a few points I was a bit concerned about, so that's
Oh
been
no, it's
really
great
helpful.
to hear from you, and I think you're doing a great job.
Oh,
All
thanks so
right.
much. So I'll make these changes and I'll get them back to you as soon as possible.
All right, great. Thanks, Heather.
Thanks,
Take care.
Alex. Have a good day.